For now, I'll delete these. And we'll go have a look at the bend notch tool. So the bend notch tool allows you to create a notch in any bends, which can sometimes be useful for manufacturing. So for example, click on the bend notch tool, and then we'll just select the bend faces to add the notch to. We can add circular or triangular. In this case, we'll add triangular. And we'll add a depth of maybe just 1.5 mil. Then we'll click on the bend, like that one there. Click OK. And oops, actually I select on the wrong side there. And I didn't have a notch width, which I was meant to have. And we'll click OK. And you can see that'll now, I'll just delete our earlier bend notch, which is just telling us that that notch has still failed. Because I am going back and forth and deleting random stuff here in very, very random order, I've got a few problem features there. But you can see that'll then create a bend notch there for us. So if we unfold, we'll now have a bend notch that aligns with that bend line perfectly there. I'll fold that back up, and I'll go through that one again so it's easier to see what I'm doing. So do bend notch, select on the bend, click OK, and that'll create the bend notch there. We can also use the corner relief tool. In this case, we actually want to have, we need to have a corner, a mitered corner, for example. So what we'll do is we'll just miter this around. So click Add Miter. Bend shape's going to be that. Straight edges will be that. And we'll hit OK. And that's OK. Like so. And now, we'll go in here and select Corner Relief. Click on our model and select Corner Relief. And you can see there's now a highlight available for us to click on there for a corner relief. And I'll make this one just 3 mil circular relief. Click OK, and then we'll add a relief to that corner. We've already been through the closed corner option earlier, and I can now delete that corner relief. And I've gone ahead and deleted the geometry that it was assigned to. And let's go in and have a look at some of the other tools. So we've gone through the Add Miter tool. The next two tools are the Convert Solid Surface Flat Pattern from Faces and the Convert to Sheet Metal Part. So these are when you either import geometry from someone else, or for example, you have 3D geometry that isn't sheet metal that you want to use as sheet metal. So I'm going to drag and drop out a block here, and then quickly add some blends to this block. Like so, make that one 5 mil. Make this one 5 mil. Maybe we'll make this one a bit bigger. We'll make it 10 mil. And then we'll copy this block along here at a random distance in this example. Like so. And add a blend to the bottom here. Now what these tools enable us to do, so the flat pattern will enable us to create a flat pattern from these faces. And the flat pattern from faces sometimes does more complex geometry than the Convert to Sheet Metal Part is able to do. So when you have a more complex thing you need to flatten. In this case, we'll do both though. So we'll select this, and now we'll select a face, and it'll automatically connect all the faces it can to that face. So anything that's smoothly connected there. Next we'll choose the stock. In this case, I'll change to a 1 mil aluminium, and we'll click OK. And that'll then create a flat pattern of that stock. That's the flat shape we need to wrap around that. Alternatively, with the Convert to Sheet Metal Part tool, it'll actually convert it to a folded up sheet metal part using the sketch bend. So if we click on the face this time again, and change this to the 1 mil stock as well, and then click OK, you can see that's now generated in place a sheet metal part. So we can delete the old part, and we have a sheet metal part generated in place there for us, which we can unfold and get the bend lines and bend dimensions. Lastly, we'll go into a few of the other tools available in the catalogs, and before we then go into a 2D drawing and the few different options that are available there. Another option available in the stock list is curved stock. If you have a complex curve that you need to create out of sheet metal, we can drag out the curved stock and then right-click on the curved stock IntelliShape when it's yellow, so double-click down to there, and then edit the cross-section. And you can see this cross-section is currently a straight line. We can actually customize this to be any shape we like. So for example, if we need this to be a spline from here, we can create the curve and just make this one tangent so that it at least lines up nicely to there. And we can get rid of the straight line if we want to as well. Click Finish Shape, and that'll create that curve from the stock. And with the curved stock, it can be push and pulled in this area to adjust its size, like so. And you can also right-click and just select Edit Curved Stock Length if you want to choose a specific length for the overall stock. The conic stock does what is somewhat similar to our loft stock from earlier. We can drag and drop that out, and then we can customize the cone here. I'll delete this, we'll just move it out of the way of the flat sheet for now, and we can right click and select Edit Radius. If we want to type in a specific radius, we can choose the outer, midplane, or inner radius. I'll do an outer radius of 70, and we'll right click on this one and make this one's outer radius 40, for example. You can then also drag these handles to rotate the full 360 degrees, or whatever portion of it you'd like to use if you want to right click and edit the angle, for example, to 45. Deleting that for now. The Add Stock tool simply adds a piece of stock onto the end of your existing stock. So for example, if we drop it here, it'll just add a flat piece onto there. And the same over here. Just adding an extension piece on. If you have used a bend, which isn't available to edit as a stock piece, for example, it can be useful to add a piece of stock like that. One other tool we'll go into here before we go into our 2D drawings is just the Custom Profile tool. So this is good for editing the holes that are cut in flat pattern mode. So you can see here, if we drag and drop this out onto this bend, it'll actually cut a shape in the flat pattern. So that shape will generally be very hard to draw. If we tried to draw that in 3D, it would kind of be a combination of two cut cylinders. And so you can see here, if we right click on this, we can actually select Edit Cross Section in Flat. That'll unfold the part, enable us to customize this shape in the flat mode. So for example here, I'll draw a new shape like this, and maybe add some fillets to the end, and draw a shape that would generally be pretty hard to create any other way. Click OK, and then it'll convert that shape into 3D with the sheet metal folded up. Now let's delete this part and go over here and make another simple box like we did at the start, and with that box we'll then go into a 2D drawing. A box is just a good simple example of how to set up sheet metal. We use 1mm stock, and then we'll drag and drop out an outbend. Drag that up, and I'll precisely size it by right-clicking, selecting Edit Distance from Point, and saying we want from this point that to be exactly 50mm. And then I'll drag and drop another outbend here, and it's worth noting you don't have to drop on the exact edge. You can drop anywhere here, and it'll snap there. And you press this arrow if you'd like to flip it, or change the angle by 180 degrees. Now we'll push and pull this. We can hold down the Shift key and snap to a point like the midpoint there if we want to. But in this case, what I'll do is simply actually, what I can do here is another interesting thing to know is we could, for example, snap to that midpoint and then snap to our own midpoint of our stock like that to make it a quarter of the length. The other thing we can do here is we'll then go in and add our miter. So we'll click Bend Shapes, remember from the bottom up, and then to the straight edges will be all of these. Clicking OK, we've then created our box there. And we'll delete that extra part we had sitting there. And we can now right-click and unfold that. It's always good to unfold before you go into the drawing. So the unfold configuration is generated there. As you can see there, they hit it unfold configuration. And now we'll go into a drawing. So there are two main ways to create drawings in IronCAD, using the IronCAD Draft software or using the IronCAD Drawing software. For manufacturing drawings, the most popular one is the IronCAD Drawing side, but IronCAD Draft side is also popular as well. So it's up to you what you'd like to use, and I'll show you both here. To start with, we'll go to the IronCAD Drawing side. So let's click New Drawing using default template. And this will use this template here. You can see we can now create drawings of our model. I'll do a top front right view from up here. And click OK. And place that view there. And we'll use a precise view for that. And well, for the new view, we'll actually make this one precise. Or if we want to, we can right click and we can do a shaded rendering of that as well. Like so. And maybe I'll just reduce the scale of this one a little bit to maybe, oops, that's very small. Maybe 1 to 10 or 1 to 3, something like that. Now we'll bring out the unfolded view. So to bring out the unfolded view, change the configuration from default to the unfolded sheet metal part configuration there. And then we'll click OK. And then we'll just press the arrow keys on the keyboard to change the size and click OK to place it. You can see we now get the bend lines and bend dimensions. If you'd like to send this to a laser cutter, for example, you can right click and just select export and then choose 1:1 DXF. You've got various options there available for you. One thing worth noting is that, of course, any changes you make at all in 3D will automatically be updated in 2D for you. So say whether it's a new job that comes along that's using a similar shape, or it's the same job and a change is needed, we can go in here, drag and drop out a shape. So in this case, for example, I'm going to drag and drop out an H cylinder and put it onto our base. So we have a hole cut through the base there. And then I'll go back into our drawing. And now that's going to automatically update the drawing there if we click OK and approve the update. We can, of course, add any dimensions or anything else like that we might need in our drawing. And oops, press the wrong button there. I want to click on Smart Dimension there, so dimension that diameter. And then we can, of course, dimension any other line we want to in our drawings, or if we want to even go from end to end on our stock size, we can hold down the Shift key and select end to end on the stock size that we'll need available in that flat pattern, and so on and so forth. The other option is to use the IronCAD Draft environment. So we go back into our drawing here. We can use the IronCAD Draft environment pressing this button up here. New Casa Draft. This will then open up the IronCAD Draft environment, which is a completely separate 2D drafting environment, which is a more traditional kind of drafting environment as opposed to the paper-space drawing environment as we were in before. So both are available depending on your needs. For example, here in this case, if we just wanted a quick 1:1 DXF, we could go in here and do the unfolded view, and we'll choose the top view, or we can flip it here and then choose the primary view. Then in options, we'll bring in our bend lines, bend line annotations, and then click OK. Click to place our view, and it'll bring in those bend dimensions and bend lines as well, and they'll be on separate layers by default, so that we have those set up and we can just save as right now as many different DXF versions from many different years to send them ready to go for laser cutting and so on and so forth. And you can also produce paper-space drawings here, like you can on the other side as well, depending on which option or which way of doing things you're used to. And in both of those drawing sides, any changes in 3D will automatically populate into the 2D side as well. Hope that's helped you learn some of IronCAD's sheet metal tools, and of course we're always happy to hear questions, so if there's any questions at all, feel free to email us or call us. Thanks.